appropriations for temporary staffing services.
We got a motion by Mr. Milne, a second by Ms. Barajas. All in favor, say aye.
Aye. Aye.
Any opposed, say nay. Sounds like we got a third unanimous. With that, we are going to adjourn our special meeting. I'll give the clerk a few seconds to make sure she has time to crane her neck to the clock. I think we're good. Okay, did I see the signal? We're okay to roll. With that, I am going to open our workshop meeting. It was listed for 7:05. We're 3 minutes late, so Chief Roski, I apologize. We've consumed that extra 3 minutes. I'll make it up by skipping items 1, 2, and 3 and moving on to item number 4. Do we have any verbal reports from council members? Mr. Grimm.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. I attended the Benton Franklin Transit Board of Directors meeting. We talked about the strategic plan and ridership and had a lively discussion about trip costs per person, management of the fleet, and it was really a fruitful discussion, fruitful meeting. The day before, myself, Councilmember Barajas, and Councilwoman Blaisdell all attended online the Tri-Cities Public Facilities District meeting, where the group voted me secretary of the board. The interesting thing about that is they had not called a meeting in nearly 2 years. It was, I believe, March or April of 2023 was the last time they had called a meeting. And there's various reasons and things going on, but that is something for me really to dig into in coming weeks and months and find out, well, what are we doing if, we don't need to meet that often? And I know the idea is obviously to serve as a regional public facilities board, but once again, I have a lot to learn, a lot to dig my teeth into, Mr. Mayor, and I also joined the Mayor Pro Tem today at the Pasco Chamber of Commerce lunch with a fair amount of staff, where we got to hear our own Fire Chief Crowley give an update about really the fire department. And it was the first time that anybody knows the fire department ever presented at the lunch. So it was really good to have one of our own heart and soul there talking just the core of Pasco. So anyways, thank you, Mr. Mayor.
Thank you, Mr. Grimm. Mr. Prowse.
Thank you, Mayor. I attended my first night with the Pasco Police Academy last Tuesday. Very informative. I was pretty impressed. I've done a couple of them, not for the Pasco, but for other municipalities, and just the breadth of knowledge and the presentations was really well done. So yeah, I'm really excited for the next couple weeks. Then I attended the JoJo's freeze-dried goodies ribbon cutting. I wasn't there for the ribbon cutting initially, but I ended up going about an hour after. A lot of people already had left, and I talked with Sarah, and she has some really good treats, and it's cool to see that she has stuff in the White House. I thought that was really interesting and really, should make us all proud that something like that is actually making that much of an impact. And then I went out and gave out some VIP patches to some of our Girl Scouts this weekend. I think Sunday was the last day for them to sell cookies. So that's all I have to report.
Thank you, Mr. Prowse. Mr. Milne.
Yeah, thank you, Mayor. I was there for also the JoJo's freeze-dried goodies, and phenomenal stuff. I can't say enough about it. I didn't think that a freeze-dried pickle would taste so good, but it was really good. All the stuff she had was really good. They had a lot of candies and freeze-dried, was it this pickle Skittles? I didn't think that was big good, but it was actually pretty good as well. So I would recommend people that if it's by the Berkshire Aircraft is on the back side and the railway yard is on the front side, but it's that whole row and it's just some unique places in there. So I'd recommend if you get a chance to go check it out. And then I also did have a COPA meeting also on Friday, and they talked a lot about how to move the organization along, but not asking for the city for money at the moment. And one thing they're talking about doing is fundraising. In October, some students from Kalima will be coming and visiting the Pasco, and
Armand, can you let me know if you can hear us?
I can hear you.
Perfect. Okay, it looks like we will not have the on-screen function today, but we'll get started here shortly. We will share the presentation via screen share.
Thank you.
Good evening and welcome to the City of Pasco workshop meeting of Monday, May 12th, 2025. At workshop meetings, council does not take formal action on any issues, but we do discuss matters. Agenda packets are available at www.pasco.gov/agenda. For those present, they're on the small table to the right as you enter. This meeting, I'm going to go ahead and say this, and hopefully it's correct tonight with our technical difficulties, is being broadcast on PSC channel 191 on Spectrum Cable in Pasco and Richland. It's streamed on the city's Facebook page, website, YouTube channel, and via Microsoft Teams. This and previous council meeting is available on the city's website, and I do understand we are having some technical difficulties, as I understand. Sounds like the camera's not working, but the audio should be.
Live stream is fine, so those on our Teams webinar cannot see you from the camera like normal.
So, well, it sounds like someone can see us and some can't, so hopefully we'll be able to interact together. The public may submit their comments via the Ask Pasco app through the city clerk and through the city manager's office. With that, Ms. Clerk, if you'll call the roll.
Councilmember Barajas, I believe she's remote.
She is.
Present. Okay. Blaisdell.
Here.
Grimm.
Here.
Harpster.
Present.
Perales.
Here.
And Milne, I believe he's remote. Are you here? Okay, we'll move on.
He did confirm that he was attending remotely, so I don't know if there's delay or such.
Okay. Serrano.
I am present.
All right. We have a quorum.
Excellent. With that, if you all please stand with me for the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Thank you. With that, that's going to move us along to item number 4, which is our verbal reports from council members. I do know Mr. Milne had indicated, I see him present. David, can you hear us or interact with us?
Yeah, can you hear me now?
Yeah, we got you. You mentioned you had a report.
Yeah. So thanks for letting me go first. I did last week. I did attend the Park and Recreation meeting, and some of the cool things I thought that went on was they talked about planting 71 trees in the last 60 days on a DNR grant, and then the pool dome is scheduled for completion on May 26th. So, unfortunately, no Memorial Weekend swim this year, but things are moving along good. And then I had my COPA meeting on Friday, and one of the cool things is there's a delegation of 22 students and teachers coming from the Colima University, and their goal is language immersion, and want to take the first step towards a student exchange between Colima and the city of Pasco.
Excellent. Thank you, Mr. Milne.
Thank you.
And I will note that when I talked with Mr. Milne, he indicated he may not have many more comments, so we can avoid that awkward dance of asking him each time. But certainly, if something pops into his head, he can chime in. Mr. Harpster.
Yeah, last week I attended the Capital and Transportation Improvement Plans open house at Giza Stadium, along with Councilmember Blaisdell. and several staff members. And at the end, Darrell Liebert gave us a tour of the new improvements that they've been able to make, and just good experience, another good opportunity for folks to come out and provide input on what they'd like to see. That evening attended transportation impact fee discussion here in council chambers, just to provide support for staff and take notes, listen to the folks that showed up to provide comment. And then on Saturday participated in a fundraiser for Kiwanis, a 107-mile bike ride that I did with Benton County Prosecutor Eric Eisinger. And there was probably 200 or 300 cyclists, all torturing themselves by riding over 100 miles to raise money for Kiwanis. Thanks.
Thank you. I'm glad that you're taking that laboring oar of riding that much. I don't know I'd survive that. Mr. Grimm?
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. Busy week for me also. I attended the Ben Franklin Transit meeting on Thursday, where one of the items we discussed was out at the fairgrounds, just improving the bus stop up there. Ridership continues to gain momentum, taking that free bus to and from the fair, and so just kind of using some transit funds to really improve the connection and the stop there at the fairgrounds. We received reports on ridership and things similar to that. I also had an opportunity to go to Chiawana High School in an unofficial capacity and just speak for 3 hours into the lives of children as far as their careers and their future and just life. Also today I sent you guys the slide deck from the Pasco Chamber lunch, where we heard from a regional labor economist from the Employment Security Department, and I would butcher that name if I tried to say it, but she was a very smart lady and a real data-driven agenda and brief she gave us. But it really, a few of the highlights I took from it was the diverse nature of our economy here in the Tri-Cities has grown beyond just Hanford and agriculture, what it is, and that's just a good sign if, one area of our economy starts to struggle, that hopefully other areas can pick that up. One of the things that's going to continue to hang over our heads is just what happened in this Olympia legislative session and the burden of taxes on businesses and what that's going to do to employment, the economy, and also just on the lower and the middle class with the gas tax and other things that happened. And last but not least, I also in an unofficial capacity, got to participate in an event for kids that made Mother's Day gifts. About 4 or 5 dozen kids making Mother's Day gifts for their moms this past weekend. So that was a lot of fun. Happy Mother's Day to all the moms, by the way. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Grimm, and yes, happy belated Mother's Day to all the mothers. Grateful for both my mom and my wife. I will note that before I get to Ms. Prowse, that Mr. Grimm, you mentioned the issues that we see out of Olympia. We have actively engaged with the folks up in Olympia, advocating for the citizens of Pasco. It's something that my entire duration I've either seen or participated in over the past 8 years. But we intend and will continue to take a full and active role when legislation harms our local residents and constituents, and so I want to be clear about that. There are things that pass, with our opposition or sometimes with our support, but I do want to be clear that we are out there and we do have a lobbyist who is quite engaged in the process and well respected amongst both sides of the aisle. So we will continually be that voice and do our best to keep life here at Pasco as it should be. Mr. Prowse.
Thank you, Mayor. I attended the Pasco Farmers Market opening weekend this past weekend. I went and had some empanadas from Boricuas and got some lemonade from Sweet Squeeze Lemonade, and just had a really good time down there. Just kind of walked around. Me and my family went and enjoyed that new parklet, and then enjoyed the rest of the holiday weekend. I took a trip out to Broadmoor and just toured the area. Saw that Tapney and Colbert construction are making great headway on those developments and construction projects out there. Also drove by the Aquatic Center. That's looking great. Noticed that they poured the foundation, or some of the foundation, for the new building. So that area is definitely seeing a lot of development right now. So it was pretty cool to see that out there this weekend.
Thank you, Mr. Prowse. Ms. Ross. Ms. Barajas, do you have anything for us?
Nothing to share.
Thank you, ma'am. With that, we'll move on to item number 5, which is items for discussion with opportunity for public comment. I do want to recognize we have some folks telling us thank you in the audience. I know we don't have an opportunity for general public comment, but we do appreciate your recognition of our efforts up here, Ms. Wade, and to your group. Thank you very much. We appreciate your kind words and support, and I do know that at least one of us, Mr. Prowlis, was out there, and we're going to do what we can to work with the city to make sure things are resolved. So items for the public comment. The public may comment on each topic scheduled for up to 2 minutes per person with a total of 8 minutes per item. And that's going to be two-minute comments, either pro or against. And again, if we have the middle, we'll have to figure out how to segregate time. So obviously we're going to see, again, up to 2 comments, 2 minutes per side for the next 5 items. So item 5A is transportation impact fee, and it looks like Deputy City Manager Sigdell is going to kick us off here.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor, and evening council. This is a topic that you've become very familiar with. We're nearing the end of this process. Last time we talked to you, we were looking to do some outreach with the community, and we have. We had one hybrid in-person and virtual meeting in the council chambers, and also option to participate online. And we also had comments available for people who could not make it to that event so that they can get their input heard. We had some great discussions in those sessions, and also a few of the comments that have come through our website on that online comments form. And essentially, if I was to summarize, and we do have some people in the audience who I'm sure would like to comment on this, is that there is a desire for funding to be available via some other means, other revenue sources if possible, because this is an increase which is an impact to development cost. And in terms of which districts, we've heard preference to 5 districts from a few folks, and then there was one comment on a preference to 2 districts. So overall, we feel like we've reached out to significant portion of the community overall, and we greatly appreciate the people who showed up and expressed their opinion to us. There was also interest in understanding where the project list was coming from, and opportunities to maybe add more projects. We did express to the audience that it's a fine line when you add projects, which is your input. The rates come higher, and definitely as a first step after a very long time, our effort at this time is to ensure that we are capturing the most critical projects, not a complete set, but the most critical projects, and maybe a few years down the line we're looking at some additional projects or trying to find some other funding sources. So with that, today we're looking for guidance from council on a path forward, and essentially we will use the month of May to finalize the report based on your input, and bring back an ordinance at the end of May if possible, or very early June. So we're looking for some guidance on districts and any other changes that you would like to make as a body. Thank you.
Thank you. Before I get going in here, Ms. Barajas, I know Mr. Milton, you indicated you may not have anything, but Ms. Barajas, do you have anything?
Nothing to add. Thanks.
Thank you. I know you're looking for direction. I still stand of the position that it seems that the 5 district makes the most sense, but I also see kind of some really disparate costs. So I kind of struggle with that. I realize the intent there is that certain areas don't have the direct impact excuse me, of circulating traffic within the city. Again, the west and the east in particular would likely route through the highways, right off. So I understand that. I guess I'm not particularly passionate about either. Just in my head, the five district makes the most sense, and quite frankly, shrinking it to a fourth. If there's a reality that we have no projects in the central and potentially no forthcoming projects, depending on I don't know if that's due to the fact there's just no infill at the moment or really foreseeably, or if that has to do with donut holes and that sort of thing. It may make sense to go ahead and hold on to it, but again, I don't think I'm hard pressed to go, but my preference, just 5 makes more sense to me, and so that's my take, but I'm not going to hold up a vote for that purpose. Mr. Grimm, I see you next.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. Yeah, I appreciate you jumping out and making a claim on this. Your thoughts, I would concur with almost exactly. I really do not feel strongly about either one of these. In my mind, the 5 district makes more sense too, but I'm completely amenable to the 2 district.
Thank you, Mr. Harpster.
I do feel strongly, and that's that we should go with the 5 district program. The biggest reason, I shared several reasons a week or 2 ago, and this was last before us, but when applying these impact fees, the city has to show a direct nexus that the project causes the need for the impact fee to be assessed, and that 5 district model, I think, does the best job of that, and having that 5 district method would give the city the strongest case in case an applicant or developer wanted to argue the fee or appeal it or something like that. The 5 district program helps us to have, I think, the strongest case. Thanks.
Thank you. Mr. Prowse.
Thank you, Mayor. Yeah, I'll be quick. We talked about this a while, and I've made correspondence with a lot of builders and developers, letting them know where my mind was at and kind of where the city, was going to be presenting options and stuff like that. So, again, I'm more in favor of the 5 district program. I think it's more fair and equitable. It's transparent. It's going to allow predictability for our builders and developers. It supports growth in those areas. For example, in the South, there's a lot of infrastructure needs, which is why that TIF rate is a little bit higher than the other one. So it makes sense to me, but hopefully tonight we can get some more information. So hopefully more builders and developers can submit more comments, and we can kind of tailor this to the best TIP program that we can put out there, so that we can ensure that we're meeting our density requirements and everything else to ensure the maintenance of our aging infrastructure. So I'll leave it at that, and I'm just looking forward to putting this one behind us. Thank you.
Thank you, gentlemen, for your thoughts. With that, obviously sounds like there's a preference towards the 5 district. We do have an opportunity for public comment. The one thing I would like to note, and I realize that these numbers are each tied to particular costs or dots on the board, if you will. It is such a disparate cost, rising from, you're almost 2x from south to north, and obviously that's significantly more than other parts. Again, I understand the purpose. I just wonder if there's any way to shave that, or if melding the south and the central into 4 districts somehow whittles that down. And again, I understand there's a mathematical formula behind it. My only comment, again, is if there's a way to make it not so much more significant.
It is a pretty complex formula, so I would not be able to give you any answer today, unfortunately. But some parts of that, it's not just the project cost, but how much of growth. And so if you have fewer people paying for a project, then that cost per rate also comes up a little bit higher. So I just want to add that.
No, I do appreciate that. So it's kind of my parting comment, but we are going to kick it to the public now. Do we have anyone that's here to speak either for or against? If you'll state your name, county of residence, and then kick us off with a roadmap of I'm either for or against this, so that we can really articulate the time. And the time will be kept here to my right, to your left from the mic. So whoever we got. Okay, well, we can come up to the mic and you no. I think just obviously here's the struggle. If we get a couple against, then we need to make sure we have the opportunity for pros to speak. We could probably run it in, and certainly if you keep it tight, we could probably allocate extra time. But again, if we hear all against, obviously we get a sense, why don't you, whoever's more passionate to speak at the moment, sounds like those who have stood up are against, so let's hear it and we'll move from that.
I do. All right. Thank you very much, Mr. Mayor, and thank you, council members. And because I only have 2 minutes, brevity will be my friend, and I will speak like I've had several cups of coffee, which I have not. But that being said, I am really appreciative that you guys are moving forward with this, only from the standpoint of there will never be an impact fee that the Home Builders Association, I'm sorry I didn't disclose that as well, Jeff Losi, Home Builders Association. The office is in Benton County. I currently live in the city of Pasco off of Road 92. So yes, this affects me, and I see Broadmoor every day. It's very good. But that being said, this does need to happen, and the only way it makes sense is to break it down into the 5 zones. And that is helpful from if something is spent in Broadmoor and you take those fees and spend it down in East Pasco, there's no rationale behind that whatsoever, and that would be one thing that we would definitely not want to see, that it's spent where it's collected. That does mean something. And the other thing that I would say is I've also heard that that development needs to pay its way. And I think, with the north impact fee at 320%, the west at 97%, the south at 544% increases in what they're accustomed to paying, that the reason why this is such a big deal is because we continue to talk about attainable and affordable housing. And right now, only 20% of the residents of Pasco can afford the median price of new construction, which is $569,000. So 80% of the residents of Pasco cannot afford it now. So every time we put another $1,000 on there, there's another 80 more folks that can't afford it. And I think it also sometimes it bleeds into, well, every one of these folks that are buying these new homes are somehow new, and not everybody is new that is moving to Pasco. Some of us have kids and grandkids that are trying to move here. However, it's becoming cost prohibitive to do that. And so being considerate of that, I like how you're being thoughtful about it. And I know my time's up, but we definitely, as an association, support the 5 zones. But if there was any way to lessen the blow, if you will, of those transportation impact fees, but this one has to get done before you can then attack the SEPA thresholds, which is a whole nother beast. And that one is causing a lot more of money and time on permitting, waiting for those to get done as well. So we do appreciate this in the 5 zones and getting done.
Thank you, Mr. Losi. And we do recognize there's a bit of a cart and a horse approach, and we are trying to attack everything we can. Sir.
Good evening and thank you all. My name is Wayne Langford. I'm a realtor and chairman of the Government Affairs Committee for the Tri-City Association of Realtors. Just wanted to come here and speak against the traffic impact fees. As realtors, we're always fighting for affordable housing or trying to keep housing as affordable as possible. We've never believed that impact fees is the way to do that. Every time you put a fee on construction or anything to do with housing, it just, when it goes to the developer, that has to be passed on to the builder, which has to be passed on to the end user, and that fee just exponentially grows. What's $5,000 here? It comes $8,000, almost $10,000 to the end of the line. And as Mr. Losi said, it's becoming more and more difficult to afford housing, and every time we add more and more costs and fees, that just makes it harder and harder and harder. So I know this body was several years ago became the tax collectors for the Pasco School District with their impact fees. We saw construction shut down in the city of Pasco for years until prices leveled out between the other cities. I saw some of your information is that, well, the other cities are putting impact fees on their traffic. We have to do the same. And, to me, that's like the kids saying, well, all my friends are doing it. Yeah, and that's really not a good reason. So, and I am not unappreciative of the fact that you guys got a hard job to do balancing the needs of the city with the limited resources and revenue you guys have. Obviously, that's a really tough job, but hopefully we can come up with something that eases the burden to home buyers in the future. We do support, if we're going to do something, probably the 5-zone plan makes more sense than the 2-zone plan. However, we're still against any kind of impact fee that's going to raise the cost of housing. So thank you very much.
Thank you, sir. So we've had our 2 against. I know you want to speak. Were you a pro or?
Yeah, I am.
Let's sit tight. Do we have anyone that's intends to speak for this before? I'm okay allocating an extra couple minutes for you. Anyone that's going to speak for this before seeing none, go ahead.
Good evening, council members. My name is Roy Pinsker. I'm the Government Affairs Director at the Tri-City Association of Realtors. I want to thank Wayne, our Government Affairs Committee Chair, for also coming and saying something. I would just like to say that the Realtor Association is and always will be opposed to any sort of impact fee, seeing it as just an additional tax up front on the developer and a burden on the barrier to future homeowners in terms of housing affordability. My association, we hope to have a more robust report regarding this specific increase closer to the end of the month. As of now, if we are forced to choose, our association leans towards the 5-district plan. Neither is obviously ideal to us, but we understand the financial predicament that rapid growth places the city in. So, thank you.
Thank you. Appreciate your comments. Typically, I would go ahead and close. I'll call for any additional public comment. We've heard our reasons to oppose. I don't know that we necessarily need any more there, but do we have any additional public comment on this issue? Going once, going twice, third time. Okay, public comment on item A is closed. Staff, do you have direction from us that you need?
We believe so. We will be, our goal will be end of this month, which would be a pretty aggressive goal. If
Okay.
not, early June, it'll come back to you for action.
Okay, so to the folks at TCAR, hopefully you can work that report fairly quickly. I understand it's aggressive for you. I think, we're trying to balance the needs of significant infrastructure costs against the needs of everybody. Mr. Prowse.
Thank you, Mayor. If there's any way, Director Sigdell, if they can look at the TIF rates and if there's any way to adjust them to be maybe a little bit lower, that can maybe perhaps we can still meet our needs. If there's any room, they can look at the numbers, look at the formula again, and maybe even entertain that South Central together, kind of like what the mayor was saying. I wouldn't mind seeing that, and then maybe get the feedback from the development community. That'd be my only 2 cents.
The only way to reduce the cost overall, just throughout the city, would be to basically remove projects. So you'd have to kind of go back to your primary input to this whole thing, which would be the projects. But we can come back and maybe provide you with some options via email on what some of the different districts, like especially the South and the Central combined. If memory serves me right, it's not a significant difference, as in it kind of does a little bit of a peanut butter spreading, but still is significantly different than the other districts. We can bring that to you later this week and see what your input or your feedback is.
Thank you, Ms. Sigdell. With that, we'll move along to item B, which is our presentation for the Pasco Resource Navigator Program. Looks like Chief Crowley is going to bring that one to us. And his wonderful team.
That's right. Good evening, Mayor and Council. Thank you for your time. And tonight you're going to hear from our two Pasco resource navigators, Stephen Whitfield and Hannah Beckwith. And they're a group that helps us tremendously in the field, and they're a great resource for us as we serve our community and out there. So they're going to tell a little bit about the what they do for the community and how they interact with the fire department and how we best serve our community. So with that, I'll pass it over. Thanks.
All right. Thank you guys for having us. Like I said, my name's Stephen. I am the social worker on the team, the Pasco Resource. You guys know how to click to the next slide? All right, so like I said, I'm the social worker with the team. Hannah here, she's a community health worker. And so we make up the biggest part of our team. We also have a mental health provider that we work with who's available part-time for patients who have mental health needs with psychiatric needs. So some of the main goals of our program, the issues that the fire department, particularly with EMS faces, is they have a lot of unnecessary repeated contacts with patients. And so the goal with our program is to reduce the number of unnecessary, like emergency room visits, addressing those patients who do have repeated contacts with the fire department. And we want to help patients obtain their appropriate care, address any barriers that they're facing, and ultimately help them navigate the resources that are available here in the community. With EMS, their main option when they make contact with the patient is, do they go to the emergency room or not? They're looking to address that immediate medical need. We have more time to kind of identify what those needs are the patients are facing and figure out the resources and services that can help them address those needs. And one thing that's really big with our program is that with the patients we come in contact, there's no timeline for the time that we can spend with them as far as, they can only work with us for a month or anything like that. We have patients that we work with very briefly, and then we have patients that we've worked with long term as well, just depending on their continued contacts with the fire department.
Right. So a lot of the population that we work with includes like homeless, people struggling with mental health, substance use. We work a lot with the elderly, with the youth. We work with low income, but along with low income, we also see people of all economic backgrounds. And like Stephen said, our main focus is those frequent callers of the EMS system. And then a lot of those are also just people that are uninformed of what's available out there. So for them, 911 is quick and easy, get some services right away. Within those groups that we serve, we see a lot of people that are dealing with, their mobility issues in the home, people dealing with chronic pain, just not knowing what to do with that. People are just isolated in their homes, suicidal ideation, those overdoses, and a lot of families that call into 911 just because they don't know where else to turn to. And so within the way that we typically get the referrals is mainly within the fire department. We have access to the charting systems that the fire department has, so we can follow up on calls pretty quickly. While we are at work, we can also respond to calls, so they can have access right away. If we are not there, we are able to follow up pretty quickly within the next day, or if it's over the weekend, that following Monday. We also work really closely with the fire department or the police department, the local hospitals here in the area, both the men's and the women's shelter, and then community partners as well, such as like Crisis, Meals on Wheels, Aging and Long-Term Care. We've also got referrals from them. And outside of these referrals, we are also, like I said, we have access to the EMS charting system, and so every day we are actively looking at calls to kind of see if there's any needs that's kind of getting missed outside of these referrals that we can step in as well. And some of the advantages that we have, like I said, we can respond pretty quickly to calls. We're really quick with the follow-up care. There's no boundaries to people accessing these services. We don't do any intakes. There's no appointment necessary for meeting with us. We don't require any insurance. We don't require any financial income from people. And then, yeah. And then along with that, because we have access to the charting from the EMS, they can also see the charting that we do as well. So they're able to see what we are working on with clients. So if they're responding to homes very frequently, they can look into their chart and kind of see what they're working on or what we're working on with them to hopefully deter any unnecessary EMS transports.
Yeah, so as you can see here, most of the most common problems that people are facing that we work with, it's really a wide range of issues that we help people with. Some of the most prominent things are housing, people who are experiencing, either issues with their mental health instability or crisis, substance use. But, we also help people meet just those everyday needs related to food insecurity or safety in the home. And so we really don't have any limitations necessarily on the issues we help people face. Like I said, we kind of just assess what they need based on what they tell us in the home or wherever we're meeting with them, and figure out what it is that they're needing. And so, the best way for us to navigate those issues and help people overcome them is helping people navigate the system. That's probably one of the biggest issues that people do face, is that even when they know what's out there, navigating the system, figuring out, how that works, what is actually available to them is a challenge. And, if you're someone who's experiencing issues, that can be overwhelming, when you are trying to navigate these things, and it can kind of make people avoid seeking those services. And so we really, that's one of our biggest goals, is just simplifying the process for people, really helping them understand what's available, what to expect when they access those services, and ultimately just getting them connected. Frequently what people experience is, maybe you go to an appointment, or maybe you're at the emergency room and they tell someone, here's a list of resources, go follow up on this, but they're not sure, whether they're actually eligible, what that process is going to look like. And so we kind of take a little bit of that legwork off for them and help them handle that. But for us, as far as when we meet people, we see people in the homes, we see them in the street, in the hospital. We try to meet people wherever they're at.
So some of the data that we collected from last year up here on the screen. So last year we had 1,729 total contacts. These contacts include face-to-face contacts, whether that's in their home, ER, out in the community. This also includes any phone calls or any collaterals that we worked with any other agencies. Out of those total contacts, 766 were for any medical or physical needs, and then 963 of those were for any mental health and substance use. And in a total, we served 226 patients. And in about a month, we typically have about 145 contacts. Referrals can range anywhere. Typically, it's like around 15 to 20. Some months are less, some months are much more. And then average monthly open cases that we have between the two of us are about 25 to 40.
Yeah. And, some of the things that we've really been successful for in the past year is just really helping people get engaged in outpatient services, or helping people get inpatient treatment, whether that's for their mental health or substance use. We've helped people obtain housing, or helping people get into safer housing options, especially for our elderly population. Even simple things as far as helping people obtain a regular income so they can help meet their needs, or starting people services to stay in the home, because that's something that we find a lot of people value, especially with our elderly people. They don't want to go into facilities, but helping them find either equipment or services to help them stay in the home has been really something that we see quite often. And so those are some of the achievements. But like I said, we work with people with a wide range of issues, and this program kind of allows us to have a wide reach with our people. Like I said, we see people with all types of issues, all types of backgrounds, and that we've had that flexibility to help people meet those needs.
Thank you for that presentation. Great information. I've got some thoughts, but I'll kick it over to Mr. Grimm first.
First of all, I want to tell you guys thank you. I can't imagine what you guys see and deal with, and just the compassion you guys must have in your heart, and the caring, and how often your heart probably gets broken by just what you see, what you experience, what you hear. And, I just want to say thank you for being there for those people. I'm torn. I'm so thankful for the safety net, but yet it is kind of an indictment of our culture that the reason you're being called is, there's been a failure in the family, or, so much of our society has abandoned God and not, using resources like church, or even just with these things. People aren't interacting with their neighbors anymore. And so, kind of their only help is to, pardon the phrase, call the government. Ronald Reagan's famous quote is circling around in my mind. The most, the scariest 9 words in the English language are, "I'm from the government and I'm here to help." But you know what? Take that. I'm so thankful you guys are there for people. I'm thankful for this program. I'm thankful for just how you're able to navigate people to the resources they need to help them. And I just want to say thank you. Really appreciate what you guys are doing out there.
Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Grimm. I'm going to kick it to the ether and just, Ms. Bras, do you have any comments? And certainly Mr. Milne, if you have any, feel free to interject as well.
Absolutely. Quick question. Is this the same work that Hortensia was doing, or is Hortensia not with the fire department anymore?
No, she's not with us, but yes, this is the same team that she was working
Oh,
with.
perfect. Perfect. A comment then. I'm glad the services continue. I did see a lot of the work that Hortensia did in coordination with Ben, and so I'm glad to see that there's continuity to the services, because definitely Pasco needs it. I've been following this program from the very beginning when it was a hot spotters. So I'm glad you're out there. Hannah, it's great to see you again. We met when we were part of the basketball challenge planning. So it's great that you guys are out in the community. I appreciate the work that you do. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Yeah, thank you.
Thank you, Ms. Barajas. Mr. Harpster.
I'll just echo the sentiments that Mr. Grimm and Ms. Barajas shared, and really sincerely appreciate the work that you guys do. When did this program start?
It kind of originally took shape, I'd say, right 2019, I think, is when. Yeah, but then COVID happened, and that kind of affected it really being implemented. So following COVID, I think, is when it really took off. And so I would say it's kind of been a full functioning, and it's really adapted and grown a little bit more since 2023, roughly, is when it's kind of been what it is now.
Mm-hmm. And then I think more for this side, how is this program funded? Out of the general fund, or?
Yes, right now it is funded with our ARPA funds and our ambulance fund as well. This is within our ambulance and general fund, I believe, but essentially a large part of the funding comes from the ARPA grant fund at this time.
That's correct. So majority it is through the ARPA funding, which goes through the end of 2026. But we did actually take the amount needed to fund this program and we rolled it into our budget. So we believe in it so much, I want to keep it going. And so it will be then paid for through both the general and the ambulance funds.
Sorry, I didn't hear them. Paying through it for what?
The ambulance and general funds.
Okay.
Yeah.
That's just a point of concern for me that we used one-time funding for ongoing expenditures. And sorry, I've got bad hearing. How is it going to be funded moving forward once our
So it's going to be through. It's going to be split through. We're funded both through the general fund and the ambulance fund.
Okay.
And so both through those two funds.
Okay. Thanks.
Thank you. I'm going to continue on this line, and then I'm going to slide to you. This was one of the concerns I had 3 years ago when we enacted this, was that this was going to be a program that wasn't a one and done. I'm grateful that you have the foresight of splitting it between future or the general fund and ambulance funds. It is a program that's absolutely needed. You just gave us the data, but seeing you here on a Monday night, the passion in your voices are clear about why you are absolutely needed in our community. You took everything out of my mouth that I was going to say, because I recall putting this in through ARPA funds thinking, holy crap, if this is successful, we got to figure out what we're going to do. Again, I'm grateful that you all have the foresight to slide it in through the ambulance and general funds as an ongoing program. The need has slowly increased over that time. And so, again, thank you for the work you're doing. I know it's probably feels thankless, but hopefully at least a little bit of kudos on a Monday night will keep you rolling, as well as the successes you have. But certainly if we need to, if there are budgetary issues, please let us know. The data is great, but making sure that we have you funded is probably more important, no offense. When you hear a success, want to make sure that you're sustained. Mr. Prowse.
Thank you, Mayor. Yeah, those were a couple questions that I wanted to ask. The follow-up would be, who in the department looks for more grants and more funding to perhaps expand the program? And
So a lot of that comes from either myself or our Deputy Chief of Support Services, so Chris Mortensen. So as a team, we start looking at some more grants and some more opportunities. Yeah.
how big is the staff for the Navigator program?
These two right here.
Yeah. Oh, okay. Because in the beginning, it made it seem like a mental health professional, and like I'm like, oh, so it sounds like there's like 5, maybe 6 people. So there's only 2 people.
Yeah, it's just the two of us, and then we also have a mental health provider that is available to us on a part-time basis.
Oh, okay. Yeah. Okay, so that's part time. Yeah. Okay. Where'd you guys go to college at?
I went to WSU for my undergrad, and then Eastern for my master's in social work.
And then I graduated from CBC.
Oh, okay. Appreciate it. Thank you.
Thank you.
Well, and it's great to see community retreads. No, that's not an offensive term. That's that you're wanting to stay in Eastern Washington and give back to your community. So we appreciate your passion for the work. I know this was an informative presentation. Was there any particular ask or need, Chief or whoever? Sorry to put you on
we
the
just wanted to
spot.
give
I
some
know that-
information. Yeah, no needs right now. We just do appreciate your support, and that this would talk about the funding. So that's going to be something we're always going to be looking at. But we do believe in this program. This is a huge contribution to our community and the fire department. So we just want to give some information on what we do.
Excellent. Well, thank you all. Thank you again for the passion. Thank you for serving our community, and just keep us posted. Certainly, if you need our assistance on any grants, any of those types of things, let us know. It's a program that I've heard a lot of success, not just tonight. So thank you.
Thank you.
I guess, do we have any public comments on this one? Going once, going twice, third time? With no public comments, that'll move us along to item C, the General Fund Monthly Report for February 2025. And Interim Director Garcia, it looks like it's kicking to you.
Okay, so for first we'll start off with the February report. So about 3 weeks ago, we presented the January report, and at that time it was noted that there was a bit of a delay in reporting because of the extensive year-end closing process within finance. So right now we're in the catch-up phase of reporting, and so we are going over February's report. And just as a reminder, for general fund, one of the major revenue sources is taxes. And for this reporting period, taxes made up 84% of the revenue. And taxes just in general have a bit of a lag built in. For example, sales taxes are about 2 months behind when transactions happen, and the property taxes come in twice a year, with April being the first payment coming in. So and on the other hand, expenses tend to be more consistent month to month. So there's a bit of a disconnect between revenues and expenses. Especially there's certain expenses that have some large lump sum payments at the beginning of the year. So so far, the revenues are more cyclical and based off of economic factors and tax collection schedules, and expenses are more consistent. So at this point, the expenses are a little higher than the revenues. And overall, in a couple weeks ago, we went over the building permits and share that they are a little bit lower than they have been in the past for this period, but and they continue to be lower than they have been, but typically that activity increases in the summer months. So we'll continue to monitor that and keep everyone posted on that. And we do hope to get caught up here soon with the reporting and start reporting in a more timely manner going forward. So we hope to have the March report here in the next couple of weeks. With that, I'll answer any questions that you have on the February report.
Thank you. It looks like Mr. Prowse, you have a
Thank you,
question.
Mayor. Just a random question. In regards to the building permits, I think I noted slightly lower than like previous years or year. Is that because just less construction going on, or do you think it's just process driven and perhaps lack of staffing?
So the count is it's pretty reasonable. It's pretty similar. It's more the value is a lot, or it's 28% less than it has been in the past. So it's more the construction value is less, mainly because of large construction projects.
I will also add that if you really look at the construction trend line of Pasco in the last 5 years, you're going to find a lot of variation because we've had such big numbers of industrial projects. So one project kind of skews the trend away. In the past, and I'm speaking prior to the pandemic, we would be looking at when we're doing sales tax projections, let's say, or just building permit projections, we would be looking at, is the school district building a new school somewhere? And that would be the peak. But we've had a lot of industrial projects that have been going on. So you see one project skew the numbers significantly in a month or whenever that construction, or in a year whenever that construction is going on as well. So that's something that you're going to see because this year we're not slated for any large industrial project construction.
Thank you.
Ms. Barajas or Mr. Mully, any comments or questions?
None for me.
I know he indicated.
I'm pretty good.
Okay, thank you, Mr. Mully.
All right. I was going to say that interest also affect a lot of building. Just in my business, a lot of our business has gone down just because people aren't building as much. A lot of it is because interest rates are higher than they were. But that's all.
Thank you, Mr. Mully. I see no further lights, so with that, do we have any public comments on this issue? Going once? Going twice? Third time? Okay, with no public comment on that issue, we're going to move along to item D, financial reports year-to-date through first quarter, and we're going to stick with Ms. Garcia. If you don't mind sliding your mic a little bit closer to you, that'd be a little bit helpful, I think.
Okay, yes. So this is the first quarter report this is the one we just went over was just general fund. Now we will be focusing on all funds. So start off with a kind of big picture view of all funds at the citywide level. So the city has 39 funds in total, and they are kind of grouped into these 6 categories here. So the general fund is the most common one that I believe, or the one most people are familiar with. And then we have the capital fund, which is anything non-utilities. So that is, streets, parks, facilities. And that fund is usually a net zero fund. It's funded through grants or transfers from other departments. So right now you'll notice that revenues are less than the expenses, and that's because there's several grants that were in the process of getting recorded when this during the third quarter or first quarter. So it is a net zero. It's just the timing of those grants. And the special revenue funds, we will go into a little deeper here in the next couple slides. And then utilities, of course, are all the water, sewer, and irrigation and stormwater funds. Okay. So still at the citywide level, just focusing on some expenses by different categories. And overall, one of the largest cost to the city's personnel-related costs, so benefits, wages, overtime. Those three categories make up 34% of the expenses for first quarter. And then also another large contributor to the expenses at the citywide level are service contracts, and so that includes insurance, service with the library and jail services, medical and dental services. Okay, so just a different view of those same major expense drivers. So for overtime, it's just kind of laid out by the different functions that are contributing to those overtime costs. So as you can see, public safety, just because of the nature of the work and being available 24 hours a day, that does have it's the biggest contributor to overtime. And on the services side, the general government, which includes IT and medical services and again, like the library. So that is one of the largest categories there. And then right below that is BWRF for the service contracts with Burnham and other contracts for the facility. Okay, on the revenue side, still at the citywide level, the biggest contributor is the charges for services. So that's all the just all the services that we provide. So the medical and dental for internal service funds, recreation programs, and those types of services, and utilities, of course, for water, sewer. Okay, so just drilling into the tax revenues that we've received, just a comparison to the same time period for prior year, and as you can see, we're slightly higher than we were in 2024 for the same period. And as I mentioned, taxes have a 2-month lag, so a lot of this revenue that we've been receiving is actually for November and December activity. So we haven't yet seen the impacts of tariffs or the economy. That will be seen more in second quarter. Okay, so again, building permit activity for first quarter 2025 and first quarter 2024 to show the comparisons of both. And as I mentioned earlier, the count is pretty comparable. It's just more the values are significantly lower this time around, mainly because of there not being large construction projects as there has been in the past. So for sales tax, this is just the different types of categories of the payers of the sales tax, and as you can see, construction and manufacturing are one of the biggest drivers of that. Okay. So now I'll just focus a little bit more on the general fund. As I mentioned before, taxes are one of the largest contributors, and also charges for services. And we have been really working on trying to offset some of that inflationary impacts that we're seeing. So the one good thing with inflation is that interest rates are high for investments. So we have been monitoring the cash flows and taking advantage of those high rates and investing as much as we can on that. So we have been, we've already made 32% of our budgeted revenue for the investment category so far in the first quarter. Okay, and for expenses for general fund, I just want to point out the transfers out that we're seeing for capital related are all bond funded from bonds that we received in the prior years. So it's not based off of revenue that's coming in. Okay, so for utilities, you'll see that there's a significant net gain essentially for the utilities, and that's mainly attributed to LID 152 in East UGA area, which is approximately 14 million, which is what that is making up that large positive impact there. Okay, so just a few of the key special revenue funds. The street fund does have a expenses exceeded revenues, and the street fund is one that is mainly funded through taxes, so that 2-month lag is impacting that. And also one of the other major revenue sources is a pavement preservation program that is typically occurs in the summer. So again, the revenues have it's just a timing. And for ambulance, same, the expenses exceeded revenues, and on that, the main contributor is there was some changes with our third-party biller, and there was some delays in the funds coming in during first quarter, but that's now been resolved, so it should kind of even out throughout the rest of the year. Okay, so the internal services, those are for our internal service funds, such as our medical and dental funds, which provide insurance benefits. And that we saw a big influx of claims due to timing from the prior year of changing insurance providers. Okay, so we are keeping track of course, the budget throughout the year, and we want to just point out a few items that are potentials for budget amendments. We are hoping to have the current budget absorb these, but if there are additional unanticipated items, we might come to you later with these items. But we just wanted to be transparent and timely in our communication. So there's just a few items that were unexpected and a little higher than what we had room in the budget for. So overall, we are, kind of recapping, but the impacts of the economy and the tariffs and those have not been seen yet, and we are actively monitoring that, and we'll share some more information as soon as we have that available. But the other item is kind of on that same page is with the uncertainty with federal funds. Historically, the city has been very successful in obtaining grants, and the average amount of federal grants that the city receives is about 24 million. So there's, we're keeping an eye on that and exploring other funding options. So just the big picture of some tasks that are underway. We are working on updating the utility rates, and also for the ambulance, looking at updating those rates, and working collaboratively with Public Works and Parks and Rec Department to also update the CIP plan. And the development services rates are underway on getting those updated as well. And we will also be rolling out a financial dashboard here in the near future that will be available for the public and for council to be able to see kind of a snapshot of financials. Okay, and this is more within the finance department, but the finance department has really been working on embracing the lean principles and looking into different opportunities for efficiency. So there's several projects within the department that that we are working on and hope to establish most of them by the end of the year. So some of these services are with partnership with our bank, and some of them are with no hard cost to the city. Okay. And we have some more, so utility billing is working on in accounts payable and within the accounting department as a whole, just a variety of different efficiencies that we are seeking and streamlining processes. And I'm happy to elaborate on any, if there's any questions.
Thank you. Mr. Prowse, I see your light.
Thank you, Mayor. The question I had was in regards to the maybe potential budget amendments. Can we get more information on the PD interpretation services? Is that just what it is? I mean,
Yeah, it's just additional, and we can always share that, but that it's just additional interpretation. I believe one of the items is there's a set contract for Spanish, but there's been a increase in need for different languages that we don't have already on staff. So kind of like, I think one of them was Russian, that we don't normally already have contract on staff for that. So it's just different interpretation needs.
In regards to the Vector, this is a Vector truck?
Yes.
And I'm sorry if you don't know any of some of this stuff. You probably just got told might be a budget amendment. Have we ever looked into just outsourcing that and just perhaps having a contractor? As I know many companies who have their own Vector trucks. Would it be more cost effective to do that, or is it just more cost effective to have our own?
I'm not sure, but
I do not believe that we have done that analysis, but we can definitely look into that and see what that looks like and come back to you.
Yeah, I was just asking, we don't have to have like a full report on it, but just, maybe look into it. And the grit classifier, is that at the wastewater treatment plant? Okay. And so that just gave out?
Yeah, it was unexpected and it just went out. So, and those parts are just expensive.
For like the wastewater treatment plant, do we not put money aside for unexpected failures in equipment?
During this budget, we were pretty mindful about, and I don't know if you remember, but Director Sarah did mention that the budget is really, really lean. Okay. And so there are times when we are budgeting for additional parts, but we did not want, we were really starting from that baseline budget, and that is what we passed in this biennium, and so anything above, we would struggle. Now, that's not to say that we would not be looking for any other way to find some budget savings so that we don't have to come to you for a budget amendment. But at this time, we want to communicate as we go on what some of those amendments might be.
Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Prowse. Mr. Grimm?
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. Thank you for the presentation. Ms. Garcia, just one question on the side of accounts payable. Just circling back to a previous conversation we were having with the rising credit card costs. And I know that's a big burden to the city. I know if I'm given a chance when I pay a bill, if I'm going to pull out my rewards card, I want the miles, but if I'm given the option where it says that's going to cost you 3% more to pay for that, or you can use your bank account, I just slide right over to the bank account and everything like that. And so I know that these credit card companies, it's a massive business where they try to push people to use the credit cards with all these mileage and these rewards and all this kind of stuff because they make a lot of money, what is really on the backs of the taxpayers of the city here. And so I don't know, I know we've talked about it, I'm not sure where we are in the process, but I would love to see some kind of payment process where, people are given an option where, perhaps the city could save those, because I think most people, it's an either, that's going to cost me, well, I'll do that one. And I think, there's a few people, and it is some of those tough circumstances where maybe they have to use a credit card because they literally do not have the money till the next payday. But I think that's few and far between, just between those people and people just wanting the mileage and the rebates. And again, I don't think that we should allow credit card companies to have those on the backs of Pasco taxpayers.
We do have a contract with our payment processor, which expires in November. So that gives us some opportunity to look at this very differently. We will also be coming to you. Director Miller is looking into, with our IS department, something that we've been working for some time, for online payments for our permitting, which we do not have right now. And that is a large dollar amount, so there is no other way to do it but to pass on the cost. So we will be bringing you some changes to our current credit card fees codes once we are able to work with our permitting system and make that available, but also in November. So essentially in October or earlier than that, we would be needing to talk about what that structure looks like for the rest of the services.
Appreciate it. Thank you so much.
Ms. Barajas or Mr. Milne?
Nothing for me.
I'm good.
Thank you. I'll echo Mr. Grimm's sentiments, and unless we're locked into a contract that prohibits us from using ACH, my preference would be to at least put it out there sooner rather than later. I don't know what the process is. If it's too cumbersome, something that we literally can't handle because of technology, so be it. My single comment is, on the one hand, we're cheering for staff as we get roughly $31 million in grants. But then there's a question of, that's like 12%, I think, of our $250 million annual budget. So realizing to the point there may be a reduction in both state and federal monies coming forward, what are our planned contingencies on that? Do we have planned contingencies, or is that something that you're seeking input from us on, or is that kind of like a rainy day that we don't think is coming? What's kind of our stomach for that process?
So right now it's a lot of wait and see, because I don't think that we have enough information to act on. What we do know for sure is that we will get a lot less federal grants, and the impact that you saw actually is in the transportation impact fee. When we started the process, the percentage of grants that we were anticipating for those projects was actually a higher percentage for few of them. In fact, many of them that we thought might receive any level of grants. As the months went by, we realized that that percentage is kind of based on prior experiences and maybe not the next decade experience. So we reduced that down a little bit, which is again an impact. Overall, we're waiting and have been waiting for moving the projects forward for federal grants that have been received. What we do anticipate is, especially for utility projects, transportation projects, that we've been getting a lot of grants. We've gotten, it really speaks to the Public Works Department and the team there, but we have had a lot of really good and high amount of grants that we've received in the last 6-7 years. And so as the money gets tighter, then our ability to get those grants gets less. And so that's a challenge that we're going to have to work with, and that essentially means that we're going to have to look for internal funding. So that is a challenge that we're going to be wrestling with for the next 10 years, I would say. But we do have good reserves and an ability to kind of preserve and not be crashing in the middle.
Okay, I appreciate that, and I just suggest that as we walk through that process, council needs to be aware of where we may struggle or where we may not see funding, especially if it's it's one thing if it's a small project that's a piecemeal. It's another if it's a critical infrastructure project that we need to move now and need to find the dollars. Please keep us abreast of that sooner rather than later, so that we can work with you all to adjust whatever we need to on the fly. I see no further lights. Do we have any public comments on this issue? Going once? Going twice? Third time? Okay, with that, we're going to move along to item E, which is resolution surplus sale of city personal property. Not Director Sarah, it's Ms. Heather.
Yes. Good evening, Mayor, members of council. My name is Mary Heather Ames. I'm your Public Works Deputy Director. So tonight I am presenting some information in advance of requesting council approval for surplusing 2 items. These are a street sweeper and a sewer inspection truck, which has been equipped with specialized camera equipment. These vehicles are no longer in use. They have been replaced. Surplus is our best alternative for the utility to recover funds, and these are in the stormwater utility. So we'll be following policy to ensure the best revenue possible. Your action next week will provide directions so that staff can move forward with this process. You'll see in your packet there is information about the 2 expected value for each of them, and that is your information. If you have questions, I'd be happy to answer.
I don't see any lights. Do we have anything from Ms. Bras or Mr. Milne?
Yes, I have a question.
Yes, ma'am.
I think I heard that we're purchasing a oh my gosh, surplus street sweeper. Is that what I heard?
No, actually, we are going to be surplusing, so selling a street sweeper that is no longer in use.
Okay, thank you. I heard wrong. So just wanted to make sure. Thank you.
Of course.
Thank you. Mr. Grimm.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. Super briefly, I just want to really just let the public and the audience know this is the kind of item that previously would have just rolled straight to a consent agenda that no one would have been allowed the opportunity to comment on as the city. So thank you to all of my fellow council members for allowing the public to, whether they inquire, ask questions about things like this is their opportunity that we create at the beginning of our council session to be more transparent to the public, to let them interact with the things we're doing rather than them rolling straight onto the consent agenda. So thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Grimm. Seeing no further lights, do we have any public comments on this issue? Going once, going twice, third time. With that, you are off the hook, Miss, for any further issues here, Mary Heather. So thank you for the presentation. Number 6 is miscellaneous council discussion. Mr. Grimm.
Thank you, always, Mr. Mayor. No, I just have 2 thoughts that I shared with staff and yourself, Mr. Mayor, tonight. And this is just the kind of thoughts that bounce around my head, and I know that's a little scary for some people. Not looking for action tonight, but just one of the things, and just considering both of them are really under the umbrella of cleaning up Pasco, but 2 completely different things. One of them's just kind of creating some kind of high octane alcohol zone downtown, some kind of radius that, perhaps prohibits the sale of this very low cost, high octane alcohol, high percentage alcohol. And, I would love for PD and for others to weigh in on this. I'm just kind of throwing it out as an idea. I'd love to hear what the experts have to say about it. But just, and I know maybe a couple of our businesses would potentially protest about that, but I think of just how much it could potentially help all the rest of the businesses down in that area, especially as the warmer weather comes, and the help that might potentially bring to our downtown core, and just some of the issues that were brought to us even tonight. And then still under the heading of cleaning up Pasco, but maybe more literally cleaning up. I know we have this contract with BDI where if you are a single household here in Pasco, you can pretty much put anything at the curb and they'll pick it up. I mean, if you call them, they'll come and get water heaters and that kind of stuff. And I wish there was a way we could advertise this better, or just get the word out more, and really, we could call it Pick Up Pasco in the month of June or something like that, just to really help, man, let's clean this junk. We drive by, we see stuff in different yards or in lots and that kind of stuff, and I wonder if people knew they could just take it out to the curb and it would disappear. Man, I wish that happened to all my problems like that. Just really just taking advantage of that contract that we have with BDI to I'm just going to call it Pick Up Pasco. So anyways, just wanted to bring both of those thoughts forward tonight, Mr. Mayor. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Grimm. I didn't realize you had problems.
Ask my wife.
Ms. Bras or Mr. Milne.
Nothing else you had for me.
Thank you.
I'm good as well. Thank you.
Thank you. Just kind of one comment or question as to your first one, and maybe you haven't gotten this far. And to be clear, this isn't necessarily support or opposing the idea. Is your desire to prohibit sales from bars and restaurants, grocery stores, etc. I mean, just any high octane alcohol volume sales in that corridor from any business?
No, typically where the municipalities where I've seen this success, no, it's not bars and restaurants because people aren't walking around with those.
Right.
Typically, it's just like the single 25 ounce that somebody can just grab, put in a bag, and go. Yes, and they're typically the lowest cost, highest percentage alcohol, and so it would be really kind of specialized in, in that area. And again, if that's what the businesses want, if that's going to be another tool in PD and fire departments, toolbox to use. So,
got it. Okay, just trying to understand. Do we have anything from staff on miscellaneous?
Yes, Mayor. We just want to let you know that we have kicked off the farmers market this Saturday, so it'll continue every Saturday through October till Fiery Foods. And we also had Fur Babies and the Fuzz event, which was attended by Pasco, Kennewick, and Richland Police Departments, and it resulted in 16 adoptions. There's still plenty of cats and dogs in need of good home, so you do not have to wait for the adoption event itself. The Tri-City Animal Shelter is open anytime for adoption. We also want to share the good news that we received $3.8 million for design and right-of-way work from Federal Highway Administration's Surface Transportation Block Grant Program for Road 76 overpass. So, yes, I knew you were going to be excited about this, and so are we. So this is much needed funding to get started on that big project and a very important project for the city. There will be a big check award ceremony that will be on June 5th from 1:30 to 2:30 at the Richland Public Library. We'll make sure to include that in your calendars. And I also want to give kudos to our CDBG administrator, Kristen Webb. She manages all of the HUD grants for us, and as somebody with finance background, I would never want to administer that program because the requirements are a mile long and very hard to keep up with. And we had a very clean audit, which is rare for most jurisdictions. So I want to share that good news as well.
Thank you. I'm glad to hear that we had 16 fuzz adopted. Hopefully the fur babies find a home. Right, Deputy Chief? Yeah. With that, we're going to move along to item, I believe, 8. My understanding is item 7, closed session, is no longer happening tonight, correct?
That is correct.
Okay. Then we'll move along to item 8, which is the executive session to consider site selection or acquisition of real estate purchase or lease if likelihood the disclosure would increase price under Revised Code of Washington 42.30.110 subsection 1. Letter B, that's listed for 5 minutes. I believe city manager, deputy city manager, and legal counsel will be joining us remotely, correct?
That is correct.
Is 5 going to be plenty?
Yes.
Okay. Typically I'd ask for a break, but with only 5 more minutes and then adjournment, we're going to go ahead and roll out. So it's 8:28. I'll call it 8:20. I'll call it 8:29, so we'll be back at 8:34. Thank you. Thank you for joining us. It is 8:35 and council has returned from executive session. And that leads us to our final item, which is the end of the meeting. Thank you for joining us. This meeting is now adjourned.
Give Angela Zeiler's rehire date at Tri-City Animal Services. For all details, call Lee Kerr at 509-735-1542. Animal Control has botched many euthanasias, calling it popcorning the dogs and cats. That is, dogs and cats suffer painful and violent deaths. Provide Zeiler-Zegan's education and certification for humane methods of euthanasia required by the Animal Welfare Act. Provide results for the 48 counts of animal cruelty, theft of $375,000, the Missing Rainy Day Fund. See Chambers, Hernandez, Howard, and Angela Zeiler, respectively. Provide insurance policies for Tri-City Animal Services and cat bonds for Pasco. For a list of all WSU dog and cat research providers, call the WSU president at 509-335-4200